All right, so I was talking about a candidate that I was supporting for District Attorney of Queens. Her name is Tiffany Caban. Her primary election was last Tuesday, and she won. And I think that's so dope. Like, things are getting interesting in politics. Like, generally in these local races, like district attorney or like races for a judge seat, assembly person, you especially in the primaries, which is the election before the general election, you get a very low turnout in the primaries, and that's bad in general, but it's good for insurgent candidates. Why? Because insurgent candidates often have a galvanizing theme, right? Something that animates a decent section of the populace. And if that section of the populace that's animated is animated enough, they'll go out there and they'll knock on doors until kingdom comes. And she's one of those candidates that do that. She's literally a career public defender who's running for the district attorney's office, whose job is to prosecute. So what better way to change the prosecutorial nature of a district that might have too harsh of a prosecutorial nature? Have a public defendant sit in that seat. It's genius. We have a situation in this country where there's a lot of people in prison. Less people need to be in prison. So you need to have people who are in charge of putting people in prison who have maybe a little more a stance to look more at the defense and look at the situations involved in that person's life that maybe could be worked on to make them a better individual, as opposed to just putting everyone in prison. It's some old bullshit. So this is the way it starts, right? And the thing about these insurgent candidates in these local elections, in these primaries, is that they'll galvanize enough people, and if they just get a little bump of people to come out and vote, that person will win. Because it's generally such a low turnout. Low turnout often spells, if you have a low turnout in an election, it's likely the person that's already in power will remain in power. Because the people that voted for him before are just going to vote for him again. It's the power of incumbency. But I mean, in this case, in this particular race, the person who was the DA for Queens actually passed away. So that's a different situation. But in general, when you have these low turnout votes, you get these candidates that are exciting to get people into the race and get people excited, and you get that little bump of voter turnout, and that person wins. And that's exactly what happened here. And it's exciting as all hell. She'll be going into the general election probably in September or November, I don't know. But I'll provide updates. And Tiffany Caban is highly likely to be Queens' new district attorney, which is super exciting. We're talking decriminalization, like or de-incarceration, getting people out of prison. Decarceration is the term, which I think she coined that phrase. I haven't really heard that. Or people that have her political ideology coined that phrase, I believe. But it's super interesting. I'm super excited, and let's see what happens.